All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Slate is live, the highest rated edition of the Slate, week in and week out, every week of every month of every year. I'm member Salazia. Jeff Ulrich is with us. Retief Fowler is with us. TP on the ones and twos. Producer Eamon doing his best to keep us on the tracks. We're going to have some fun today. We're going to talk a lot about the Wyndham Championship, the best bets, DFS plays from these guys. It's the last tournament before the FedEx Cup playoffs. Kickoff next week, guys. I want to dive into some of the interesting Tom Brady, Sean Payton, tied into the Dolphins news with them getting punished. But just moments ago here, gentlemen, we have the NFL has decided to appeal the Deshaun Watson 6-game suspension. So Retief Fowler, the entirety of Deshaun Watson's 2022 season really now hangs in the balance rather. Just to make this simple, my understanding, and let me know what you know here, Reed, but I feel like the NFL now essentially is giving the power back to Goodell, and he can choose another person to levy any kind of punishment. And it sounds like, the NFL stepping up and saying 6 games is just not enough.
Yeah, it was never enough. Look, and Kyle Brandt, from Good Morning Football mentioned this. And so I think it bears repeating is that look, it doesn't matter what it is, right? The idea that it was nonviolent and that was a big thing and why it was only 6 games, that's egregious. It doesn't have to be a violent crime, right? To then say, well, because there was no physical altercation, because there was no physicality to it, that it didn't, bear much more than what he currently got, right? That's you can take it or leave it, right? And if you don't agree with it, so be it. That's your prerogative. But that's it, right? That's the belief. Now, when you talk about the litigation of it all, yes, they're looking at potentially 1 year indefinitely. And there's also going to be a monetary fine to it as well, right? So it's not just now missing 6 games and not getting those game checks. There's also a fine levied, a big one at that as well. So to your point, there's a lot more to go around this, right? And we can talk about, what goes into why that's the case. But I think it's good on the NFL for doing it, because what you're saying basically to all players, all teams that decide that they want to acquire someone like Deshaun Watson in the future, that there's now precedent, right? And that's what the NFL is trying to get away from, is precedent of only it being 6 games and not much more than that, because that's what it should be, flat out.
Yeah, Jeff, is it too much to think that Roger Goodell's legacy is truly on the line right now? This is a way that he could help all of us forget about some of the really miscalculated and just straight up stupid suspensions of the past.
I mean, I don't think we're ever going to forget about some of these suspensions, suspending a guy a year for weed and stuff like that. And
4 games for football.
Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
But go ahead, sorry. Jeff.
Even the Calvin, it's fair. I actually forgot about that. I mean, it's just, comparing it to this now where, it's definitely a move where I think that Goodell, obviously part of the, I mean, I don't know. There's just so many layers to this. Reed is dead on in saying there's almost no suspension that's going to be fair here. It's borderline, you want fair. I mean, again, should he even be allowed in the NFL ever again? That's probably fair if we're talking fair, in real life standards. But this is a prolific athlete, obviously, and the 6 games, it's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous when we're considering what we're talking about, right? So, the NFL, I mean, I'm not really shocked that this happened. Is it a saving face method? Is anything going to come to it? I think that's the real thing, right? What is going to come from this? Is he actually going to be suspended a year? Goodell obviously gets to choose who hears the appeal. I think that's the biggest thing, which leans you in the other side of the favor. But I mean, the NFLPA is now potentially going to sue them back in federal court. So I don't know. Does this mean that if it's being appealed, that Deshaun Watson is going to be free for week 1 to start? There's so many different layers to this now that it almost feels like we're just getting started. This could really turn into a 2023 story at some point, where if there's nothing resolved, they just say, okay, you played this season and it goes into next season. That's almost what it feels like we're going to be at. So we'll see how quickly this appeal gets wrapped up, and who hears it and stuff like that. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, obviously the NFL, where they were. I mean, am I surprised that they appealed? No. I mean, pretty much.
I think back in June, Reed, they were arguing for at least a year suspension, right? And you mentioned the monetary fine that could be coming. They wanted $5 million. They wanted him to be fined that just a couple months ago.
That's a lot, right? Yeah. And especially, look, you also got to take into account too, what is it against, right? You're talking about Jeff's right in there is no right amount, but what we can do is we can compare, right? We can compare to other things that have happened in the NFL so far. And what we've so far seen, right, is, and to rehash all of this, because this is where it's going to come from, and this is going to be talked about. Look what happened with Ray Rice at the very beginning, right? When you started seeing this more prevalent, talk about Kareem Hunt. And now we're at Deshaun Watson, right? And it is that is not a far designation from Ray Rice in terms of the suspension, the number, to what Deshaun Watson is doing. And look, they're different acts, but still, it all falls under the idea that it's abuse, 100% flat out. And when we have someone like Calvin Ridley getting suspended for a year for placing a $1,200 bet on some, innocuous thing that he did, and he had someone else do it. I'm not saying that what he's doing is right, wrong, or indifferent. But you start talking about the NFL as partners with ourselves, with other people, and you start thinking, okay, well, where is the line of demarcation? Are we going to allow players to do this and basically say, I'm only going to get a slap on the wrist? Because that's what it is. Deshaun Watson is making more than 90% GDP of developing countries and third world countries by himself. So a $5 million, slap on the wrist, it's a lot of money, but it's not going to change his lifestyle, right? So the thing that's going to change his lifestyle is if he's if he's at the risk of losing his livelihood. That's what's going to make him change his lifestyle and in the future, people who are thinking about doing this in the future, right? Like NFL players who are thinking about even coming close to doing this, it's going to make them think twice.
Yeah, I think the precedent, that's a great point. Like, they need to set a precedent here. I mean, like they set all these, they were hyper strict in the past on these other things, and then you get something like this, which is just, it's so outrageously bad in so many areas. Like, and now you're telling us that it's worth 6 games. Like, it's just, have some, it's again, nothing is going to be fair. Like, literally no suspension is going to be fair, but in terms of precedent and what the NFL is doing, get some consistency. So yeah, right. I mean, they're all over the place. This is a problem going back the last 10 years. I mean, it's just, it's so ridiculous. It's ridiculously overcooked in certain levels. And then it's just, when we get to really serious problems, like the one we're dealing with now, it's really 6 games. That's it. So I don't know. It's a weird one. For again, to bring this back to fantasy and betting, I mean, I think that I'm pretty much ready to call game on Browns bets. And what I mean by that is you can have all the talent in the world. You got this hanging over your head for a year. Just no way. The AFC North is as good teams. This is not good for the Cleveland Browns. I'm pretty confident that if the Bengals are going to be there around the same odds as they were, the last time we talked about this, give me the Bengals. Give me a franchise who's, coming off the Super Bowl. No one's talking about them now. People are trying to build up the Browns again or talk about the Ravens. Give me some other team in this division, and let's fade the Browns, because this is just going to be it's quite frankly going to be a disaster, I think.
Yeah, like what Jacoby Brissett now under center. The first, so just looking at 6 games, it's obviously going to be more than that, but I'm just looking at what he currently is suspended.
Well, it might not be more than that, though. I mean, it's just appealing, right? I mean,
So wait, I'm confused with what you're saying. He's at least suspended 6 games. They're not going to say we want him suspended for less.
No, but
what? No, I'm just saying
you're saying during
more.
This appeal process, he could play. We've seen that with guys before.
That could happen too. There's all I was saying is it might not be more than 6 games. I thought you were saying it was going to be, but it could just stay at 6 games. That's what I.
Yes.
That's all
I feel like reading the room and what some of the, big time reporters are putting out there, and some of the reports have that they want them like not to step on the field at all. And going back to the contract read, like with that as big as it is and fully guaranteed, which is why money has become like a part of it. So I'm looking at like their first 6 weeks of the season: Panthers, Jets, Steelers, Falcons, Chargers, and Patriots. Like I don't know. Some of those games are still winnable, right? With Brissett under center, you think maybe a 3-3 record, Reed?
Yeah, and that's when you take a look at it. You look at the totality of their schedule too. It's the easiest.
Yeah,
right? It's like either the easiest or one of the easiest schedules on all 32 teams. And then you start to think, okay, well, you don't want to go down the rabbit hole like Emerson on YouTube starts watching dog videos, and next thing you know, he's on the Silk Road. But like, that's worrisome. Is now you start talking about, what's going on, what's really going on. And yeah, you're right. But I'm still in the camp with Jeff. If team totals and team features in the Browns, like we kind of touched on, I think a couple of weeks ago, that there was some value because we didn't know what Deshaun Watson's future, like the actual number was, right? If it was 4 games, if it was nothing, and they were going to have litigation all throughout the entire year, and he could play, then you could see him getting to like 6 games. This is before the 6 game came out. You could like see them getting to 6 games, and then the NFL is saying, actually, the courts decided that Deshaun Watson, you need to be suspended for like an entire season, right? Like that's, we didn't know that. So there was some value with the Browns. Now, I think the only, if I'm going to touch a bet, is Nick Chubb to be the leading rusher.
Yeah.
Right. Because even though Jeff is right in terms of a wins, like a total wins or Super Bowl or winning division, 100%. But the props, right? Those, especially sans Brissett giving it to anybody else, I think they're. But yeah, you're right. Like they have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL right now.
Well, it's an interesting schedule because it's really easy for the first 6 games, but they have a stretch of 5 games starting in week 7, which is when Deshaun Watson is due back, where they play like it's like a gauntlet of teams. Like it's like the Ravens, the Bills, they're all winning teams. I think the Bucks might be in there or something, but regardless, they like if they do not start well and Brissett fails or this team just implodes a little bit, like they're not making it up. So those first 6 games, just from a team standpoint, are going to be interesting. And I just don't know how this team is going to be focused with all this like uncertainty around it too. Like it just feels like it's going to be tough. So again, not a team that at this point I'm ready to call game on them, for fantasy purposes. Sure. Like, David Njoku, maybe Nick Chubb does end up getting the ball time, but I don't know. Like when your team isn't in the red zone and you're being led by Jacoby Brissett, who does, like to run inside the 5-yard line. I don't know if that's a great situation either. So,
touchdown. I'm talking about yards.
I understand. I'm not. There's bad football teams produce good fantasy running backs. We've seen it a lot for volume reasons, for reasons they can't throw the ball. Like you're right. You're not wrong in suggesting Nick Chubb could absolutely do it. I'm just saying, a little bit of devil's advocate and just really, there's so many bad scenarios with the Browns just on the field. Yeah. I feel like at this point they're actually overvalued.
And there's a ton of bets too. You don't have to just bet the Browns. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Jeff. So week 6,
the Saints. Hey guys, I wrote up the Saints as a great division. We should do you want to just bring that up quickly? I would like to get your thoughts. Wow. I would like to get both of your thoughts on this.
Okay, give it to me.
And then you can get to whatever you're going to talk. Since we're at the division winners.
Do you want to talk about the Saints?
Yeah, NFC
go
South.
ahead. Come
Let's
on,
go, Let's go, Fowler.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about them.
Yeah, me too.
The odds. 310.
They're plus 310 to win the division.
Here's the thing about the Saints. And this is why I'm really bullish on them. Their defenses, the Saints and the Bucks, you look at the metrics, they're pretty much exactly the same. Like, really good rush defenses. The Saints were actually better against the pass, and they added Tyrann Mathieu, who's been away from camp for a personal issue, but he'll probably be back. And who did the Saints add on offense? Landry, Olave. You've got Jameis back, who was putting up career numbers in this offense through 7 games. The Bucks, what did they do? They lost their starting center already. Godwin's not going to be back for week 1. I get that they have Tom Brady, but are you telling me that Tom Brady is worth a gap of this much between these two teams? because there's not much. Like, you take away the quarterback position, is there really that big a gap? There's really no gap. I might even take the Saints on the defensive side of the ball. I might even take the Saints wide receiver crew this year if Michael Thomas is back. Like, I look at these two teams, and I really went deep in it last night, and you're like, what is the difference? They're both promoted new head coaches from the defensive coordinator positions. Like, these two teams are mirror images of each other right up until the quarterback position. And the Saints aren't dealing with losing of their starting center. The Saints aren't dealing with being out their wide receiver one to start the year. I'm just saying, yeah, I'll take Brady over Winston. I agree. The Bucs should be the favorite. There is no way the Saints should be this big of an underdog, though. Like, we're talking, I think this is a monumental misprice right now we're looking at in this division.
What about so you're right. There's no shortage of weapons, right? And also Carmichael remains the play caller there. So that's big for Winston. But what's the situation with Kamara? Is he suspended?
That's been put off. It's been put off for like a month. Yeah. Like the hearing,
but,
like no one showed up. Like, it's.
So that's what I was going to mention too. Like, Deshaun Watson's thing is, head and shoulders above when you talk about a gray cloud than Alvin Kamara, right? I mean, to an extent. And I mean, you have that running like, kind of like over your head. Go ahead.
His
Jeff.
court hearing has been delayed 2 months, at least 2 months.
Right. So that's basically 8 games, right? 8 or 9 games, give or take. Look, I think the logic is there. I think the process is there. The big thing though, right, Jeff, is like, do you think Jameis Winston is worth like that gap? Right. And that's the big difference, is because, and look, I don't think this is not the AFC West, right? You're not going to need to score a ton of points other than going up against the Buccaneers, in my opinion. So you could win games 16-8, 16-10 if you're the Saints. Having said that, you talk about schedules. You get the Vikings in week 4, you get the Bengals in week 6, right? You have the Raiders in week 8. They can put up points. And then you play the Rams, Niners, Bucks in weeks, 11, 12, and 13. So you're talking about a pretty difficult schedule, and the Browns in week 16. That's the big thing, is if you're asking them to win the division, then it's going to rest on Jameis Winston's shoulders, because if he gets hurt again, like that's big. And look, if Brady gets hurt, you kind of say the same thing. So to your point, Jeff, it's you're kind of hedging on Brady's probably not going to be the same this year as he was over the past handful of years.
No, not necessarily. I am definitely,
because if that's
betting,
the case, then I'm going with the Bucks. I'm not going to bet this, but I would go with the Bucks to win this division.
I think it's a 2-part thing for me. I just think that this gap is too wide.
Yeah,
and you're right. I got to have a little bit of confidence in Jameis Winston for this to pay off. But he has a 7-game sample where he's put in career numbers in the offense. I don't think he's going to have to do too much because the defense is still going to be top 10. Again, I think it might even be better than last year. And they've added weapons for him. So, like, for me, the Bucks are the ones with like cracks in the foundation. Jensen. They lost 2 other starters. That O-line is not going to be as good, in my opinion. And then the Godwin thing as well. I'm not even going to go there with Brady. I could mention that he's 46 and he can fall off a cliff. I'm not even going to go there. Let's just assume Tom Brady is going to be Tom Brady, because we probably should at this point. Even if Tom Brady is Tom Brady, the Saints could be the better team everywhere else.
And the thing about the Saints too, or they seem like the Buccaneers, they got Julio Jones and Kyle Rudolph. But again, like, that's
and those guys could make a difference. Absolutely, that's something. I'm just saying. I look at these teams. They're in a lot of ways, I think they're mirror images of each other up until the quarterback position. And I just don't think Brady is worth that much. I think if you were saying the Saints were plus 200, plus 220, I'd probably be like, okay, maybe that's, but like plus 310.
Yeah.
This is a really good team in the Saints.
What the Saints have to do, which they haven't done in past years, is they have to keep their defensive efficiency up throughout the entire season, because they've come out and been the number 1 defense for the first 7 or 8 weeks. And then once that like line hits, kind of Cliff Kingsbury-esque, is they lose it for about
they have
6
some
weeks.
bad spurts. Yeah, where they allow like 400 yards in the air or something.
Yeah, that's a big thing, right? And on top of that, Jameis doesn't have Sean Payton anymore, right? Dennis Allen is the head coach with the Raiders. Trust me. But different time.
On the flip side, no Bruce Arians.
No Bruce Arians. True, right? So which does that open up Brady a little bit? Who knows, right? So that's I think
I think that's the other
Jameis
thing why I
Winston-
like the Saints number though, because there's a little bit of uncertainty on both sides with the new coach, right?
Yeah.
So why not
Yeah.
take anyways? I just
I think
really
it
like
is-
this bet.
Yeah, I think out
agree.
of all of them, like that's probably the biggest one that that division has the biggest question mark, right?
So
We don't really have a clear favorite in that division.
is that over 8? Is that over 8 wins for you then, Jeff? You get plus money on that.
Yeah.
The total currently for them, because you guys
like
have said there's plenty of question marks. There's Winston, there's Thomas returning from injury, minor coaching change, Kamara's looming suspension, Olave's rookie season.
That's
So
underrated.
maybe as like a betting person here, you'd rather take the plus money.
Maybe it's kind of up for your liking, but I definitely like the over. I think 8 wins is a really good floor for the Saints. If they show up without 8 wins, it's probably because Winston got hurt and they had to ride the Andy Dalton train or something like that. But I just think that team is too good. The bones of that team is still good. Kamara's probably going to be there the whole season or most of the season. And they've added really nice pieces. Like Jarvis Landry's a really steady piece. Chris Olave, it can make up for a Michael Thomas injury. Like there's a lot of positives there. And I know that the quarterback position is what it is, but like, again, we have seen like good teams with mediocre quarterbacks, a la the San Francisco 49ers, do really good. So,
all right. By the way, week 6, I think ends around October 17th. So Stephen Ross will be able to return at the same time around Deshaun Watson. If that remains like 6 games. So everyone's like, make it make sense. Can I just ask you real quick before we go to golf, guys? If Tom Brady is quarterback for the Dolphins right now and Sean Payton is the head coach, Reed, where are they among Super Bowl favorites?
And wherever Brady goes, you would see them shoot up probably. I would argue in like 4th or 5th, right? Like in terms of where their their odds are, because I mean when you look what he did with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it's not just like the players that are there currently; it's not the players who want to win, right? Who want to win and who go there for Tom Brady, right? Julio Jones might not be the Julio Jones in Atlanta, but he could be in one game. Right, Kyle Rudolph could be that one guy in one game, 2 games, and that's what you could get. Right, you talk about Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Like Tom Brady doesn't have a decent deep ball anymore, and that was his issue when he was in New England. But boy, I mean, you talk about putting those guys in the slot with Tom Brady and what he did with Welker and those guys all the time, Julian Edelman. It would be, it would be fantastic to see, but we don't have to worry about that.
All right, Jeff, do they have odds similar to the Bills? Is there a chance they would even have better odds in the division than the Bills?
No, I don't think they'd have better odds. I don't know, man. It's such a weird question.
It's a hypothetical helmet. That's what you're putting on your head right now. We're having some fun. You like being weird. You are weird. You should like weird questions.
There wouldn't be better than the Bills. I can't see it. I don't think that the Dolphins defense is better than the Bills. I think they could be up there. I think, you put them maybe like with the Chiefs as like, 3rd favorites or something like that, or maybe like around where the Rams or the Chargers kind of in that tier. That's probably where I would slot them. I mean, I think having Sean Payton there, and I mean, it's a good team. Like, I mean, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. I mean, I think you'd still see like a higher volume passing offense. So yeah, somewhat similar to that. I just don't think that the defense on Miami would be as solid as it is on the Bucs right now. So, and then they'd be in the division with the Bills, who I think would still be the better team. Brady would probably boost this team up into like Packers territory at plus 1,000, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is an interesting hypothetical. I'd like to see Tom Brady play with Tyreek Hill.
It's just hard because this is a warm season team that has to play in a cold season or a cold team division. Right. Like that's just the case. The AFC East, look, they also come down to Miami, and most teams don't do well when they go to South Beach. But, Miami late in the season, that's why like adding Brady would be nice. But that's why he went to the South. He's like, I don't want to play in cold weather anymore. He's getting old. Look at Tiger Woods. He's like, I can't play in these early tee times anymore. My bones hurt. Right, the hammies are a little tight in the morning. So, but yeah, you if you was there, you would see them right around that Chargers 49ers range, right?
Okay. All right, and before we go to golf, I'm pretty excited about tomorrow. Little Jags Raiders action. Maybe we should do like a watch party or something.
Yeah, but like no one plays in the Hall of Fame game. That's
I know.
Trevor's not playing.
No.
Like Devontae Adams. None of these guys are playing.
No. I know. Jeff, sorry, dude. America's team letting you down. More importantly, letting down Pierce.
But Jeff doesn't like the Jaguars anymore. Wherever Nick Foles goes is his new like pick of the list.
I can't wait for Nick Foles for Matt Ryan to suck or something, or like sprain his toe.
God.
All right, Wyndham Championship. Let's go. We got about 10 minutes to go on the show. Final PGA Tour event for the FedEx Cup playoffs. We had a fun little segment this morning talking DFS with Lynn Hochberg. But yeah, let's start over here on the sportsbook side. Jeff, who or what catches your eye near the top of the board? Anything? Anyone?
All right. I got to get my golf odds up just a sec. But yeah, look, I mean, we've
because I see plus 2,500 Russell Henley.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
Started out at plus 3,000. I mean, look, I'm in. I'm locked in. I still think the best value in terms of just like guys in this range, and I'm talking like once you get up to like the plus 4, plus 5, I still think it's Aaron Wise. I just think you look at his season and the player. They're just with the potential. I mean, yes, these guys like Harman and Kisner, I know it's like their kind of course. And I kind of like Brian Harman this week. I really would not put anyone off him in that range, but like Aaron Wise, it just feels disrespectful. Like Harold Varner is a plus 2,800. Corey Connors is a plus 2,500. I'm sorry, but like Aaron Wise has had significantly better season than like Corey Connors. And they both have one PGA Tour win. Why are we valuing Corey Connors over Aaron Wise? Aaron Wise is top 10 in strokes gained approach stats. He's made the cut at every single major. Like, he's a very, very good player. He outside of like hot fire Billy Ho, he should have won the Memorial, which was an elite field. I think that's still the best value on the DraftKings Sportsbook when you go down there. So Aaron Wise is a player I'm just going to target. It's more of an odds thing. I don't care about the setup, whatever. We could talk about that ad nauseum. He's certainly had results at places like the OHL Classic. Down there on a soft course in Mexico, the Bermuda Championship. I don't think this is a place he can't get it done. Give me Wise there plus 4,000 to go with my losing Henley bet and probably my losing Denny McCarthy bet too.
Reed T. Fowler, you have not. You almost look on in disgust when he mentions Russell Henley. That was this morning on the show and just now.
Well, I mean, how many times do we do this, Russell Henley?
And by the way, congrats on Tony Finau. I completely.
Well, thank you. I mean, we don't have enough time for me to lament on Mr. Finau going back to back. Jeffrey, Can you remind me if Louis Oosthuizen, A, has won or B, has gone back to back?
Probably not, friend. Probably not.
I wanted to make sure.
Maybe when he was an amateur or something, he was playing against 15-year-olds. I don't know.
Yeah, he was 25.
Yeah.
But yes, Tony Finau, absolutely reviving my season-long fantasy team that was in dead last place because Paul Casey decided to go over to live and be a hypocrite. Justin Rose, his old man, Garrick Hago just forgot how to play golf, apparently. So Tony Finau single-handedly carrying my team out of the depths. But yes, I mean, how many times Russell Henley? Look, Henley should have, right? This is what we always say about Henley. He should have won last year here. Oh, he missed a 3-foot putt to go into the playoffs. A 3-foot putt last year. So he should
like that 6-man playoff.
He won the Sony Open too.
He should have won the Sony Open because he was up by 5 strokes. He should. How many times do we have to do this? And I'm sure this is going to get clipped if he ends up winning. But how many times? If Henley was where Wise was in his number, Jared always talks about why is Harold Varner, why is Russell Henley at 2,500? The last time he won was like 2011. Like, give me a break. Like, he should not be there, right? At all. Danny McCarthy was top 10 at the U.S. Open. Joohyung Kim has been top 5 in like everybody's hearts for the last three weeks, right? Seabez, I would argue Seabez would be better than Russell Henley, Jeff Spoil.
Wow.
There's so many guys I'd rather bet than Russell Henley because when we talk about outrights, he has to win, right? I mean, we've talked about Tony Finau at this number. And we're like, oh no, he doesn't win, but he's been a top 10 player, top 15 player for the last 5 years or 3 years. Russell Henley has not been, and whatever happens on Sunday, he just gets clammy hands. Gets the shakes, gets the Chuck Knobloch yips, and cannot close the deal. So sure, like Russell Henley, fine, 2,500. You can call it. He's a great ball striker. Look what he did last week. He was fantastic. He was coming up, and what did he do on Sunday? Did the same thing. What he always does.
Yeah.
Did not close on Sunday. Back nine was atrocious, and he just didn't threat at all. So give me Adam, give me everybody else in that range other than Russell Henley. For God's sakes, let's stop doing this.
Yeah, I
for
forgot
ourselves.
I forgot how like firm he was in the driver's seat after an opening around 62.
Oh my God, it's so many
Four bogeys down the final 9-hole stretch, Jeff.
was terrible. I agree with him on Aaron Wise. I was not on Aaron Wise. I didn't look at him. I didn't do any research on Wise because I'm like, I'd rather play Brian Harmon. I'd rather bet Brian Harmon with what he's done.
Brian Harmon's a bet too. I mean, I like Brian Harmon. He's played well. He's got confidence.
In terms of odds,
yeah,
Jeff's absolutely right. Like, I take him over Pendrith. I take him over like Justin Rose. I even take him over Hatton, even though Hatton seems like he's mispriced and it's kind of weird, right? He's kind of in this, like, what is he doing here type of feeling. I would take Wise. I would take Wise, Munoz, and Harmon over a handful of guys in like that plus 3,000 range. So, but yeah, get Russell. I want Russell Henley to win. I really do. Because
so does Jeff.
At some point, like, people are going to start to realize that, this guy's a fraud at this number. Like, he should not be at this number. This is all based on what he did last year.
All right, let's go deep.
Yeah.
Let's go, Jeff.
Whatever. Let's just move on.
Yeah. All right, let's go deep. Let's go deeper down the board. I know you had some more, I guess, DFS long shot guys, bottom of the barrel today. What about here on the DK Sportsbook?
Jeff, you want to go?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I
That's
definitely
my
got some guys I like. I mean, I think DraftKings is actually, some of these guys are, you're getting them a better odds on DraftKings like than throughout the industry. Like Michael Thompson is a guy. He's gained multiple strokes on approaches. Like, the putter's been fine, top 30s. Like, that's kind of what Michael Thompson does. And he just goes nuclear for a week. Plus 15,000. He can absolutely win on this type of course. Tyler Duncan at plus 15,000 as well. I mean, these are guys that I'm perfectly be fine sprinkling on. Like, and I think the other thing with these two players, if you're looking in the first round leader market, especially with Duncan, I know he's got the early tee time. I don't have Thompson in front of me right now, but I feel like that is. Anyways, here's some info for first round leader bets. As I don't know, one of Emerson's dogs starts molesting him.
It's a tongue punch, dude. I accept it.
The last 6 years at the Wyndham Championship, at least one of the first round leaders has been an AM starter. And there's been multiple years where it's just been the solo first round leader has been an AM starter. So you do want to
have weird facts like that.
The Dewey course, these are pretty easy to hold greens anyways. You add a little bit of dew on there, they get super receptive. Michael Thompson, Tyler Duncan, and Henrik Norlander, another long shot dude. I'll play Norlander for like a top 20 or something. That's the other thing. Like Tyler Duncan and even Norlander, I think these guys make great top 40 plays in the top 40 market. Tyler Duncan's at 122 in the FedEx Cup standings. He makes the cut. He puts in like one solid Sunday round. Boom, like T30. You've got that plus 175 paid off. He's playing good golf, and this is just a good setup for him to perform at. So give me a little bit of that. The player in Duncan is 7,100 as well in DFS. I just like tailing him. You can get as aggressive or unaggressive as you want, but first round leader market, I'm definitely going to be on, and maybe a top 40 bet.
Yeah. T Fowler, talk to me here, man.
Yeah, I agree with that. Michael Thompson does have the 7:45 tee time.
I thought he was early.
Liked, was it you or Len who also liked Duncan this morning?
Len.
I think it was both of us.
Len
is an unfortunate Billy Ho truther, but
you bullied him this morning, and that was not cool.
Somebody had to tell him about Billy Ho that you just don't.
It's true.
That was a funny 30-second clip that they tweeted out.
Bermuda Billy, like that. He can always strike. Bermuda Billy, you just can't tell with that. He's got good course history. I mean, guys that I'm looking at that, I'm probably going to lose money on as well. Adam Svensson, right? Plus 7,000. I mean, happy to learn how to putt. He didn't putt well last week, but we saw him. He was T9, I believe, heading into the final round. Just like the Adam Svensson of old came, and he could not putt on Sunday, but he's at plus 7,000. And I talked about this early this morning too, right? Cameron Champ at plus 8,000. I mean, like I've been harping on this. If we like guys, and I know this is a different course, it's not the same type of Donald Ross design as it was last week. But I mean, Cameron Champ is a guy that we liked for the last couple of weeks. Why are we getting off on him? Even though this course doesn't need distance and you need accuracy more than that, this guy still can hit it. I mean, he's gained in all strokes tee to green, right? Around the green approach off the tee in both back-to-back events, 20th and a 16th, right? And he was playing, and that was why we covered him on PGA Tour Live. And he on Friday, his body language was very inward. He wasn't very happy, made the cut. And then on Saturday, he went like eight under. So if he gets going quickly at plus 8,000, I mean, we were betting this guy like plus 4,000 a couple of weeks ago. So give me Cameron Champ at plus 8,000. And Jeff mentioned it. Top 20 bets. Those are fantastic. CT Pan is another one I'm looking at a top 20. But yeah, Michael Thompson, I think, is someone that you have to take a look at in top 20. And Sebastian Munoz. He's another one, first round leader. Talk about guys who can make a ton of birdies. How many times, Jeff, have we seen Munoz go off for like 9 or 10 birdies? And we're like, how can we not bet this guy first round leader? I mean, 3 or 4 times I can remember that he's done this to me. So look at Sebastian Munoz as well, first round leader. I think he's around that plus 6,000 range.
All right. Well, Billy Ho spent a lot of some of his time off since the Open fishing. So he's feeling good. He's rested. That was T21 at the Open too, guys. So his head is in the right place to contend. Bermuda Billy is back, my bitches.
I mean, like I don't hate it as much as Jeff does, but
dude, Ulrich, I hate you.
At that number, give me the bot, man. Give me the machine. Give me Sanjay. Like he's like, come on, man. The guy is set up for victory at plus 1,400. Look at all the people. Like this is why Mayo mentioned this on his show, and it makes a lot of sense. Like how much second place finishes do we have, Jeff? Where we've bet guys in like
you guys
plus
are
6,000.
Insane. Like this, it has to be historic. Like between you two this year, man. Like seriously, in like 2 weeks. Yeah, in 2 weeks, we got to put a big ass graphic up on this show and the sweat and just show people like y'all have been damn good. You've just been so close to being elite. And
the thing is,
hate it.
Like we were almost due for this type of season on the PGA Tour, and people are going to say, "Well, like the long shots never win." I've had so many seasons where it's all the long shots winning, and like the favorites never come through. So yeah, it's due for a run like this where like Finau wins twice, Rory wins, Rahm gets a win in a weaker field. Like it's going to happen eventually. So doesn't mean you stop betting. One break and some of these guys, these tournaments go the other way real quick. But yeah, it's been that kind of year where you get a guy like good value, a lot of Reed's guys. I know I had Davis Riley at the Colonial, which looked like it was going to be closed off there for a while. And then it just snapped.
I had Cameron Young
to start the year over Hideki. That's another one. God.
Yeah. I had Hideki though, so I love that.
Okay. That was like the one time you bet my favorite. But again, yeah. So could Sanjay or Shane Lowry come in here and go to 22 under and just smoke this tournament? Yeah, it could happen, folks. I'm not going to lie to you.
Okay.
But
you have to get exposed. That's the responsible thing to do right now, especially this part of the season. You have to be exposed at the top. You just have to.
All right, man. We gotta go. I got an article to write, so we have to wrap up the show. I'm looking forward to our group chat being fired up this week when Billy Ho has a 5-shot lead on the back nine.
When Spencer's missing 3-foot putts, get ready because the thumbs are going to be firing.
I cannot wait. My sister's visiting this weekend, so hopefully, come get a drink with us and let's.
We're all going to celebrate. Tyler Duncan, first round leader on
Sister
Thursday,
Matthew Clarence.
All right. Love you, everybody. See ya. Bye.
T-Dunks, 61 Thursday.
Stop. Fade Henley.